I lean over to her and I say, hey, would you mind tapping the shoulder of the gentleman in front of you? So she does. Okay. She does. He turns around. I'm like, are you Andrew Huberman? He's like, yes, I am. And I was like, well, I'm Hasan Pike. This is part of the broadcast where I tell you about my personal news about what's going on in the world of HasanAbi Pike in between the time period where I press the stop streaming button and press the start streaming button. So help me God. And a lot has taken place. Obviously, last night, I ended the broadcast. And after ending the broadcast, I got on a flight. And on the flight was another person that actually, you know what? I'll tell the story in a brief moment. Look, March and I pack the stuff up, pack the remote desktop up, and we get to the JSX terminal. Okay, JSX is the charter flights that they have that's like basically a little bit more expensive than a normal commercial flight, but then you get to not have to deal with an entire LAX situation. You can fly into Burbank Airport. It's for rich folk. It's not a real like private jet thing. It's like a European puddle jumper. Anyway, now the new meta for me and March is that we check the cockpit to make sure that there's at least like a woman or a non-white person in there. So luckily that was the case, both going to Las Vegas and also returning from Las Vegas. Now, let me tell you something. Okay, let me tell you something. I heard that's great for the earth. Dog, it is literally for 60 people. It's a normal plane. They just sell it as though it's like private. It's a normal flight. It's like a European puddle jumper. If you've ever been in a European short-term puddle jumper flight, it's, anyway, but that's not the point. It is a commercial flight. So we get to the terminal and I see a dude raw dogging cucumbers, Trader Joe's organic Persian cukes. Okay. And he's also raw dogging, like bulk and breakfast style, raw dogging freaking tomatoes, little rose grape tomatoes. You know what I'm talking about? Anyway, and I'm like, what? Who is this monster? No, they're not peeled, which is fine. The Persian cucumbers, you don't have to peel. You shouldn't peel Persian cucumbers. Huh? No, bir dakika. Yok artık Murat. Okay, sure, in a second. Oh, you pushed it. Now the door's gonna... This man comes over here and just like, here, you got to pull him up a little bit. Yeah, so they align. Anyway, so this guy is just like, I'm watching this dude from behind. He's just like eating. He's kind of brawling. I'm like, what the hell is going on right now? Like, this dude is crazy. I don't know what's going on here. Anyway, we get on the plane and this dude's got some red glasses on. It's like some blue light glasses or something. I don't know what it is. And I was like, wait a minute, this guy looks kind of familiar. Turns out it's freaking Andrew Huberman. Okay. And I was like, oh my God, the cucumber warrior was Andrew Huberman. Okay. So at least like he, walks the walk as well as talking the talk. Like he genuinely believes all the crazy stuff that he has on his podcast in terms of like the red light glasses and all this stuff. Yeah. Andrew Cukerman with the cukes. Andrew Huberman. So yeah, Andrew Cucumber Man. And I was, for those of you who don't know, he's a very famous podcaster. Like my mom knows who he is. Like he has like a lot of play for people over the age of 35. Like if you're over the age of 35, you've definitely seen this guy. He's like a Stanford neuroscientist who then became like an alpha podcast guy. But all you need to know is he's a Stanford neuroscientist, but he's also simultaneously like aligned with like the Tesla crowd. So, Oh, March is in here. He said, oh, you mean our friend Andrew. So yeah, in any case, there's a lady sitting in front of me. And because like the seats that were, the seats that we're sitting in are still kind of tight for my long ass legs, I accidentally push her, right? She turns around and says, don't worry, I didn't bring my strap on with me today. And I was like, that's a wild thing to say. Turns out, lady's a old porn star, former porn star, right? It's cool, whatever. She's sitting between me and Andrew. And I turned to Marsh, I'm like, yo, I'm gonna get this dude on the podcast. March is like, don't do that. Just straight up. He was like, why? March said, why? I said, nah, I'm gonna get him on the podcast. Because I'm always thinking about fear end. So yeah, he was the voice of reason. It failed. Okay. He tried to do a crit check. He tried to do a speech check and it failed. Voice of reason failed in my brain. Immediately I'm like, I lean over to her and I say, hey, would you mind tapping the shoulder of the gentleman in front of you? So she does. Okay. She does. He turns around. I'm like, are you Andrew Huberman? He's like, yes, I am. And I was like, well, I'm Hasan Piker. I also have a podcast, which is bad entry point into the conversation, but it is whatever. It is what it is. So, and I was going to spark up a convo to see if he would be down to, come on the Fear End podcast or whatever, right? And then this lady literally severed the convo with a serrated knife. Okay. Basically decided, no, it's my time to shine. Turns out she is a massive. I don't know where your motorcycle keys are, dude. If that's what you were going to ask me, I have no idea. And I don't know how to answer this question. I don't have your, no, I don't know where it is. Anyway, she's a massive Andrew Huberman fan. It turns out she's a stan. She's like, listen, I'm a former porn star. I got multiple immune deficiency issues. I love your healthy lifestyle. She starts like pulling out like different episodes of the podcast. You know what I mean? It's like if I was sitting in front of Hideo Kojima or something and I start talking about like random things that he did, random Easter eggs that he did in like the PSP series, Peace Walker, right? Like she's a Huber head. Okay. And she had she just basically was like, no, it's my time to shine. I'm going to tell Andrew what's what. Like, I'm going to tell him how much I appreciate his commentary. And I was just like, all right, whatever. I'm going back to playing Kingdom Come Deliverance. Yeah, she was hubed up on a Thursday afternoon. Okay. Hubed the heck up. All right. I guess two reasons I'm mentioning this. One, it's a funny story. Two, we got to put an end to podcasts, dude. We just got to. Podcasts are such a burden on modern society. I've realized like far too many people listen to far too many podcasts. In any case, yeah, tariffs on Shure microphones. That's what I'm running for. I'm running for office and that's what I'm running on. But yeah, God damn, she was such a big fan. And then he reignited his interest in me in a second. She basically was like, oh, you want to have him on your podcast, right? That's what she said. She also tattletaled on me. She was being a tattletale. Like making it seem like I'm some random dude who's just like also an Andrew Huberman fan or something. And I'm just like, oh my God, my hero, my icon. I would love to have him on my podcast. Like it was just like, I got little bro so hard by freaking Andrew Huberman. But then I recovered. I recovered it because I was like, oh yeah, well, because he was talking about what he was doing in Vegas and I was talking about what I was doing in Vegas. I was like, oh yeah, I was in Vegas for the Bernie rally. I just interviewed Bernie and AOC. And he did something that has I think like it causes like an immediate ick in me. Maybe I'm being too much of a baby for it. Maybe you guys will agree with me. But he was like, oh, what's your X account? And I immediately went, like, it's just like I had a physical reaction to someone in the real world calling Twitter X. Like it almost like, oh, like it hit me. I was just not ready for it. You know what I mean? Because I see it online. I see it in the replies of Elon Musk. But like when someone in the real world like hits that X, I'm like, I don't know how to deal with that. So I hit him back with yes, I have a Twitter account. Like immediately, like boom, boom, riposte. Okay. And then he was, and it was like a almost contentious back and forth. We were now mentally sparring in the marketplace of ideas. He was Mr. X. I was Mr. Twitter. Okay. So he hit it back with, is your interview with Bernie Sanders on X? And to which I immediately responded with, it's on my YouTube page, but I bet there's some clips on Twitter. And we just kind of did that like a little stand battle, you know what I mean? Like it was one of those moments. It was one of those moments where it was basically like hold on. It was like this. It was like this. Okay. It was like this. We come in. I recognize that he's a stand user. And in my mind, I was thinking like, you can always tell when someone is a stand user, right? And I said to myself, yada yada dosa. And our stands started fighting one another, you know? That was him checking me. But yeah, he asked me about my politics, and I was like, because he did the classic podcast thing. And now I feel like being a podcaster or just having a podcast is like right coded kind of is like weird. But he asked me about like how this musician that Bernie Sanders apparently has been touring with that is like controversial or something. I don't fucking know. Apparently she's trans, and it's one of those things where you're like, this is information that I don't know about, and it, you know, why do you know about this information? Like, it just tells me where you're getting your news from. You know what I mean? Yeah, Laura Jane Grace. Yeah, apparently she's trans, but she also was like saying, you know, she's saying something about God. I don't know. I looked into it a little bit. I couldn't figure it out, but it's like, yeah, a musician did some music and Christians were upset or whatever. But it's like, why does Andrew Huberman know this? Like, what is his algorithm, right? So he hit me with one of those, and I was just like, I don't know what that is. But basically, I was like, listen, I'm to the left of Bernie, and he was shocked by that. He didn't even realize there were people like that on the planet, I guess. But yeah, no, I was like, no, there was a mariachi band this time in the Vegas. In the Vegas rally, there wasn't like there wasn't any there wasn't a musician by that name at the rally. But yeah, we just had like a little bit of a back and forth little conversation, and he was like, I'll check your stuff out. So if he's in the chat right now, Andrew, I would love to have you on the pod or on the stream at one of these points. Okay, it would be great. So yeah, that's my little story. I don't know if he actually followed me on Twitter, or maybe because I said Twitter instead of X. Maybe he didn't follow me. Oh, he seemingly has not followed me. I'm gonna follow him though. I'm gonna follow him, even though we have the same number of followers, it seems, on Twitter. I probably got more motion than he does, but that's not a big deal. All right, not a big deal, Andrew. I know you checked out my Twitter account. You saw the metrics, and you probably were thinking to yourself, all right, this guy knows how to use X. You didn't say he's looking for you on X, but you're on Twitter. Anyway. So that was a little back and forth. Came back home, hung out with the family, went to sleep, woke up, worked out, ideology.shop, launched the merch, and that is and we're here, you know.